So panic in the markets as Bitcoin and altcoins plummet at the beginning of this week. However, in this video, I'm going to be going over what I think is next for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and why this could be a great buying opportunity, particularly for certain altcoins. So let's get into the charts. So just before we get into the technicals, let's take a look at something that we've covered on this channel for the last couple of months, and that is the seasonality aspect of Bitcoin. So we've talked about its performances at certain times of the year, particularly in Q4, the last three months of the year. We're going to go over December specifically. So if we take a look at the performance of Bitcoin in previous bull market years, in December 2017, we saw a return of 38.89%. In 2020, we saw a 46.92% return. And obviously this December, we are pretty much at break even. So we've barely moved so far in this December. So even though it's all a bit doom and gloom at the moment with prices having dropped, as I said at the beginning, this could be a really good opportunity to buy that dip. Now, of course, it's not guaranteed because 2021, you can see that was a little bit red. And if we see the previous cycle, or the very first cycle of Bitcoin back in 2013 and 2014, they were also red Decembers as well. So it's not a guarantee that we are going to get a green December. However, as I say, if we take a look back at the trend, 2017 and 2020 were bull market years, and we had a very green December in those years. If we then take a look at the charts, so if you remember this chart that we've been covering over the past few months, talking about the patterns that we've set in terms of when we've broken previous all-time highs, election week lows, etc. What we talked about, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago, was the fact that we always set a low in the first week of December in bull market years, and then we go up from there. So if we take a look back at the previous cycle on the weekly time frame, you can see this is the first week of December of 2020. So you can see we had that dip from 19.3k down to about 17.6, and then from there we had a massive rally up, and then we pulled back in the second week of January, second and third week of January. If we then go back to the cycle before that, so back in 2016, once again, if we zoom in here, the first week of December is here, where we had that little pullback, very small pullback, $780 down to about $743, and then we rallied into January, and then we had to pull back for the first 2 weeks of January, as opposed to the second and third week of January that we had the next cycle on. So is history going to repeat? So as we saw last week, that is the December low in, and we should be up only from here going into January, where there is potentially going to be a sell-off. Now, once again, this is all patterns based on previous data, so it doesn't guarantee future performance. However, we can only work with the data we've got, and so far that says that December in bull markets is very, very bullish, or has very good significant returns, and that we usually have a sell-off the first week in December, and then we rally the rest of the month into either the first or second week of January, and then have a sell-off. So this pullback could be a great opportunity to get in at a decent price, not only for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but altcoins as well, which I'll go over a little bit later on. So let's get into the Bitcoin chart. Let's get to the daily time frame. And you can see that we deviated back inside this daily range high. So we've got this daily range high here at 98.3 or 98.4K, daily range low down at 91.7. And we're currently sat on that mid-range where we can see we've held as support for quite a while, all the way back since the 28th of November. Haven't had a daily close below it since. Many wicks below it, not a daily close. And we've also sat on that daily moving average 21 as well, not too far off an RSI 50 retest as well. So if things are going to bounce, this is a very good area for it to bounce. I think if we lose this area, then we are going to go down to about 92k, test that daily range low. Hopefully that's not the case. As I say, hopefully this is the pullback done. The lows of yesterday remain untouched or untested, and we go up from here, but we'll have to wait and see. As I say, you've got to be prepared for all scenarios. So we may well see 92k, and if we get an even deeper pullback than that, we've got a weekly fair value gap down here at about 90k. Now bear in mind that in previous bull markets we've had multiple 30% pullbacks on Bitcoin. So if you bear in mind that we've not even had a 10% pullback yet from the highs. So imagine a 30% pullback would actually take us back below the previous all-time highs, back below 73k. Now, I'm not advocating for that. I don't think that is likely to happen, as I say, especially with the seasonality aspect that we've got of being in a bull market in December, etc. But just something to be prepared for that can happen. Don't forget that back in May of 2021, we had a massive 50% pullback right in the middle of a bull market, and then we continue to make new all-time highs from there. So huge pullbacks can happen. That's why you need to be careful when you're leverage trading, and also just have an open mind in terms of if you've got spare capital, or always having some stables ready to deploy on big dips. So this could well be a very good buying area, but that you have to be prepared that we may well go lower. If we take a look at Ethereum, this is also a really nice bounce area. So if we go onto the weekly time frame, we've obviously deviated that weekly range high, unfortunately. So we broke out of the 3.8k weekly range high where we'd rejected many times before. Finally, typical crypto, we get that daily we get that candle close above resistance, and then we deviate straight back below it. That is unfortunately fairly typical in the land of crypto. In terms of the weekly levels, we've got a nice weekly level of previous resistance, now support, hopefully at 3532. You can see it was resistance here back in July of this year, and we've held it as support not only last week but currently sat on it this week as well. That is also a weekly fair value gap as well. If I flick on the fair value gap indicator, as you can see. So hopefully, again, this is a nice area for a bounce on Ethereum. If we go down to the daily time frame, we've also got a daily fair value gap acting as support here as well. We are currently below the moving average 21. Hopefully we can bounce from here and reclaim that. We are also on the RSI 50 as well, with a green trend bar on the LT trend and momentum indicator as well. So again, a lot of confidence in this area. So we should see a nice bounce. If we don't, then we could go much lower. In terms of the next area for support of Ethereum, it's going to be the weekly mid-range, which has also been a nice area of consolidation on the daily time frame as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we bounce here, or do you think we're heading for lower? Bear in mind, we've also got the US CPI data coming up tomorrow as well, which always brings a bit of volatility as well. So let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen overnight and going into tomorrow's US CPI data. Now, let's take a look at some altcoins. So starting with ADA then. So if you were getting FOMO about things last week and looking at things like ADA and wanting to buy at $1.33, as I said at the beginning, this is probably a really good opportunity to buy things much cheaper than you would have done last week. If you look at ADA, it was at $1.33 last week, now at about 94 cents. That's about a 30% drop from last week, and this can often happen in bull markets. As I talked about, Bitcoin itself has dropped 30% in previous bull markets. So altcoins, nice pullback here on ADA. I think a really good area of support and a potential buying area is this weekly fair value gap here at between 87 and 83 cents. Now we might not even get that low, maybe the bottom's already in which case obviously 93 cents is still a great entry. But if I were you, if you've got some dry powder and you've really you were FOMOing about wanting some ADA last week or the week before, then I think buying some here would be a good option. Leave some dry powder in case we get down to this weekly fair value gap between 87 and 83 cents. And then if you're looking at the return to that, so just from here back to the highs of last week is about a 40% return. If you get into this around this weekly fair value gap between 82 and 87 cents, you're looking at about 50 to 60% return just to get back to the highs of last week, let alone if we go beyond there. But yeah, this weekly fair value gap, we've also got the weekly level support at 78 cents, previous level of resistance, not yet retested as support. That's your invalidation. If you get a weekly close below that, then you can start to cut your losses and look for the next opportunity. But I think anywhere between here and then if we get into the weekly fair value gap of 83 cents, really good buying opportunity for ADA. DOT, again, if we zoom in, we rejected the weekly level of $10, which is similar to how we did back in March. We've now come down, retested this weekly level of support and weekly fair value gap. If I just turn the indicator on, we're at the top of this weekly fair value gap. And you can see this has been a big level of previous support and resistance all the way back to February of 2023. We tapped it 2 weeks ago. We're tapping it again now. And this looks like a really good opportunity to buy some DOT, as I say, particularly if you're FOMOing about it being above $10. It was about $11 last week. We are now 35% down from those highs. So as I say, if you're looking to buy some DOT, this looks like a really good area, potential bounce area. If we lose this, then we're probably heading down to the monthly range high of $6.27. But as I say, buying some here, not a bad option if you really wanted some last week, and then you've got the option of buying some more if we do go down to $6.27. But I think that's unlikely considering the size of the drop we've already had, and Bitcoin is currently on support, and that seasonality factor as well. But as I say, if you did want some last week, now is a much better opportunity, much cheaper than it was. If we go on to NEAR, again, coming into a nice area of support. So a little bit lower if we tag this weekly levels of previous resistance, now support at $5.51, which also has the confluence with that weekly moving average 21 as well. And then just below it, you've got this weekly fair value gap as a bit of support there as well, between $5 and $5.27. So again, you could enter on this retest of the weekly level $5.51. You've got this weekly fair value gap as support just below it, and I think this is a really good area for a potential bounce on NEAR protocol. We've also got the weekly RSI 50 coming in as well. So I think anywhere between here and this weekly level, really good opportunity for spot buying. Of course, you want to be a little bit more precise if you're trading, which is something we're going to go into with these next two pairs. And if you do like trading or you want to get involved in a trading community, then go check out our website at learningcrypto.co.uk. Loads of information on there on how you can join our community. So we've got the premium membership, we've got the traders lounge, which is obviously self-explanatory, that's for trading. We've also got the free Discord if you want to jump in there and check things out. Save a lot with the annual, and if you just check out our Discord here, this is the trades that I've put in today. So the Sol and Litecoin trades, which I'm going to go over in the video in just a second. We've also got day trading for scalping, and we've also got the coin analysis, which is done by our very own Ash Duke, and you can see really nice detailed analysis in there. That comes with just regular premium, so well worth the money in my personal opinion. And then we've also got the trade success, where you can see lots of profitable trades being put in there day after day. So if that's something you want to consider, go check out our website at learningcrypto.co.uk. We've also got free courses on our YouTube channel as well, so go check them out too. But back to the charts, and as I say, I'm going to go through this Litecoin trade, which I'm currently in and posted on the Discord. So if we take a look at things on the week chart, we'll start with the monthly time frame. We're looking at potentially trying to break out of this monthly range. It doesn't look too pretty at the moment, but of course we do have plenty of a month left. If we go to the weekly time frame, what I'm hoping for is this weekly level of previous support and resistance. You can see this has been a huge level of support and resistance throughout Litecoin's history. Hoping for this level to hold, hoping for the weekly fair value gap to hold, and then we get back above the monthly range high, confirm the breakout, and go from there. So I'm using yesterday's wick as my stop loss and invalidation. So if we go down to the daily time frame, you can see that's where I've got a stop loss just below yesterday's wick. And this was looking a little bit better, I'm not gonna lie to you, just as I started the video. But we've also got the RSI 50 coming in and hopefully holding a support, as well as a green trend bar on the LC trend and momentum indicator as well. And this trend and momentum indicator comes with your traders lounge access as well. So really cool tool. It's got RSI, it's got moving average trend bars, and it's got divergences already printed or the print for you on there without you having to figure out whether that is a active divergence or not. So basically 3 indicators in one, saves you a lot of trading view expenses as well. But that's the Litecoin trade that I'm going for. So fingers crossed Bitcoin has found some support and we bounce from here. And of course, weekly close below this weekly level, that would invalidate for me that we are going to break out of this monthly range. And so Litecoin no longer looks like a decent buy. But as I say, even for a spot trade, this looks like a really good area for a bounce on Litecoin. And your invalidation is a weekly candle close below about $100. Finally then into Solana. So I talked about this on last week's video. If you got a retest of 205, that would be a really good area to buy Solana. So as you can see, big level of previous resistance now being retested as support. I think this is a really good bounce area for Solana. I think if we get a weekly candle close below 205, that starts to look very worrisome. Rejected, well, we technically made new all-time highs slightly, but rejected from there. And if we close below this weekly level of support, that's when I would start to get worried. In terms of the daily time frame, this is the trade that I've entered. In fact, I've not got the indicators on. There we go. That's all there. So this is the trade. Again, looked a little bit better before I started the video, but essentially I'm entering on this weekly level of support. We've also got this daily fair value gap here at 204 as well. So I'm hoping that these hold as support and we start to change the trend that we've set over the last couple of days, ride it back up to those previous all-time highs, close 80% by the time we get up there, and then hold 20% for the break of new all-time highs should it occur. So if we quickly take a look back at BTC just before we close, as you can see, struggling to hold on to this daily mid-range and daily EMA 21. So as I say, hopefully for the sake of my trades at least, and for the sake of the rest of the market, we can hold this as support. CPI data comes in good tomorrow, and then we rally for the rest of December. So fingers crossed. Let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen, and I'll catch you on the next video.